Mankus is a realtor. He loves what he does. We asked Luke if he had any regrets about moving here in 2011, and he always says, yeah, one regret, and that is he didn't move here sooner. When Luke came here, he didn't know anyone. He didn't know the neighborhoods or anything or anyone besides his daughter, who was 6 years old at the time. So he knows what it's like. Now, he's an expert and has helped well over 100 single people, couples, families, and investors with their real estate needs in the Okanagan. If you're new to our beautiful city, Luke can help you get connected with great lawyers, dentists, carpenters, landscapers, swimming pool installers, you name it. And whether you're new to Kelowna or not, Luke knows real estate. He can help you find a great property, negotiate a good deal, and hold your hand all the way through the process until the day you get your shiny new set of keys. Luke is known as a no-pressure kind of guy. He's had clients where it took even a year or more to get them into a property. He just doesn't believe in rushing things. On the other hand, when you decide it's time to act, he's diligent, and he'll work day and night until the job is done. Give Luke Mankus a call or a text message at any time, 778-215-4273. Again, that's 778-215-4273. 778-215-4273 to chat with Luke about real estate.
So, Danielle, you've been in Kelowna for about 5 years.
Yeah.
But I understand you had a dream to come here since a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
So tell us how you got here 5 years ago.
Well, we've always had family in Kelowna, so would come to visit. Mom was a teacher, so anytime we were off school, she was off school. And we would come to Kelowna when Flintstone Land was still around. So
what's Flintstone Land? I didn't even know what that is.
I think it was out kind of like Reed's Corner way. I don't even remember, but it was like a little kind of amusement park per se. So it was all based on the Flintstones, though, which anyone probably under the age of 25 now would have no idea. But I loved going there, and we used to go to, what do they call it, the Grand Prix, I think it was, the old cars, like the race cars out in that area too. That's no longer there, but Kelowna was always kind of felt like home. It was always familiar, and as soon as I kind of realized that I could live somewhere other than the town I was born and raised in, I was like, oh, well, Kelowna's going to be that town.
So you would come here for summer vacations pretty consistently.
Yeah, and long weekends.
And long weekends. Yeah. And where were you living?
In Golden.
Okay. Yeah. So what's that, about 3 hours?
4.5-ish. Summer can be longer because of traffic, and winter can be longer because of snow.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
Yeah.
I think I just confessed to speeding. But, so you grew up in Golden.
Yeah.
What's that like? I mean, I've stopped there for gas, but I
that's
I don't
what
know much
most
about
people, like, we've driven through Golden. It was gorgeous. I loved growing up there. The mountains. We were a really outdoorsy family. We used to snowmobile right from our house, and Ski Hill was right across the valley, and so it was just beautiful. Small town, everybody knew each other. A lot of like comfort and familiarity and whatnot. So it was a great place. Same friends from kind of like kindergarten through high school and whatnot, which I really liked.
Right.
Yeah.
So why did you come to Kelowna 5 years ago? I know you've always loved it, but what made you finally decide to move here?
Numerous things. I had different changes in life. I thought like after high school, after culinary school, after all these different events, I kind of thought, okay, I'll move then, and it never really worked out. So 5 years ago, it was just the right timing. I was ready for a new start and kind of get my life going in another way, and so it all just kind of lined up, and Kelowna was the right time, right place.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you start with a job? Did you find a job? So you came here and started looking for work? Or?
Yeah. I was out here the summer before I moved. Was helping some friends on an orchard. Just cooked for a retreat. So then when I was out here, it was in Lake Country, and I just started looking for a home. And I was like, well, if I can find something, I'll put an offer and I'll move. Right. So just kind of didn't know the city really. Like we had always been in the south. My aunt was always in the Mission. And my brother had recommended Glenmore. He's like, Glenmore's a great area. And I was like, okay. So talked to my real estate agent, and I was like, okay, I want a house in Glenmore, and didn't even know where it was in the city, and started looking and moved there. And
are you still in the same place?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you obviously made a good choice.
And I love it. I actually really can't think of a better location. So my brother actually gave me some great advice.
Do you cycle?
Road bike a little bit. Used to more, but would love to get back into it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's there's some good walking streets also. I like to walk a lot.
Yeah.
I've lived most of my time in Kelowna, downtown Mission, so it's pretty flat. Yeah. But still, the neighborhoods are great.
Yeah, beautiful.
So, yeah. So, tell us what you're doing for work here.
Ooh, I started a new career just over a year and a half ago. So, was a chef by trade for over a decade and loved it, but decided it's just time for a change and to do something that for me was kind of more meaningful and had more of an impact. So, started keeping my options open and looking for opportunities. And a good friend of mine actually ended up moving here almost 2 years ago, and we connected, and we've been working together, and I do really unique supplemental disability insurance. So I work with specifically like entrepreneurs, all of us that work on our own and whatnot. I specialize in making sure they're properly protected, accident, sickness, and all those good old unexpected things that happen, and just make sure there's income and everything to pay the bills.
Right. So you had to get some training, and you have a license, right?
Yeah, so you have to get provincially licensed. The course, anyone that's done insurance, as well as probably numerous other industries, it's pretty dry to study. Yeah, so is real estate, so. I bet, yeah. But it was good though, and exciting to learn something new and just be challenging myself. I mean, it was the first year of my career was a big learning curve. Like I say, it was almost more of a ladder than a curve. Right. And but made it through. Just kept kind of pushing and just learning and giving myself grace was the biggest thing. Like not being too hard on myself and understanding that business is tough, and especially when you're new. So just kind of failing forward was a term I adopted because I was like, okay, well, I'm going to fail, but I may as well fail forward rather than just quitting. So so you mean like if you would fail a module, you would try to learn from it? Yeah, and just like there was one actually. Most of our class had one of the chapters we had failed in the qualifying exam. So we're all like, all right, so clearly we need to pick our socks up. Which one was that? I'm curious. It was chapter 6. That's all I remember. Was it like math or legal stuff? Or? It was all on like the licensing for the disability insurance, so accident and sickness, but I can't remember what it was specifically like referring to. But yeah, I think I got a good old like 38 or something % on that qualifier, and all the others were like high 80s and whatnot. So so that took a little more work. You just study a little more, and you get through it. And but. So you love traveling. Tell us about your last trip to Thailand. Yeah, Thailand was amazing. Just fell in love with it. My sister and I went, and we had a good 6 or 7 weeks, and it was just a really cool experience. I think the timing in life, meeting a lot of the locals, we tried to somewhat stay away from the big touristy spots and just kind of got off the beaten trail and tried to like meet some locals and whatnot. But it was beautiful. The food was incredible. The scenery, like from northern to southern Thailand, was so different. And we did 8 days in Myanmar or Burma and got to volunteer at a safe house, which I think was part of what made that trip so significant and just really meaningful. So so those are adjoining little countries, right? Yeah, so Burma is kind of northwest, I guess, of Thailand. Okay. Yeah. And what is a safe house? What do you mean? So the safe house we volunteered at was these 2 women rescue children off the streets. The sex trade is really bad there. Right. So they basically, what they do is they pay these families in kind of lieu of their children. So it's very different culture there, and they sell their children on the street. Right. So these 2 ladies will they do fundraisers and all sorts of things to compensate the family so that the kids don't have to be on the street. So,
I see.
And then there's some orphan children and whatnot too, but we got to spend some time with them, and it was just amazing. Like, just all the hardship they've been through. It's so humbling, and
a lot of touching stories, I bet.
Oh, and just they're so grateful for the little things. Like, you coming back here, it was such a shift in how we thought of things, and just the things that are so normal that we're like, wow, we've really taken that for granted. And even toys, and like they had like, you know what you see in the movies, like a top or something.
A spinning top,
and that's kind of it. Or they'd have a ball, like a soccer ball, for all the kids, and
they're so happy to get it. So the parents, they would consent to their kids going on the street because they would get money. Was it typically like a lump sum payment, or would they get like every time the child worked, they would get money?
So the parents, it would be like a daily thing. So they'd send
send them out, and then the kids bring home money.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then the safe house, I believe it was more like kind of a monthly thing. So it was less than the kids would have made on the street, but it was enough to compensate the family.
So they could survive. And the families were pretty grateful, I'm sure.
I'm sure, because some of them, it's just the culture's so different. Like, there, it's the children take care of the adults rather than adults taking care of children. So at a very young age, the children start to really take over the household and do a lot, and they're responsible. So that's why the parents, especially the young girls, they can make so much money with the girls on the street because of all the tourists and whatnot, and that's how they make their money in a lot of cases.
Would you actually go to the street to find these kids, or you were helping at the house?
We were at the actual house. Yeah.
And did you ever have any confrontation from people saying, "Hey, that person works for me. Like you're hurting my business"?
We didn't really have to deal with anything. We had to be really careful there because we were in an area that we shouldn't have been. So we had to, like, being a lot lighter skinned, we had to make sure we were covered, had scarves covering our face, long sleeves, pants, running shoes, so on and so forth. So we couldn't actually stay at the safe house. We had to stay in kind of more of the touristy spot in a hotel, and then we'd get picked up on the scooter every day and go over for the day, help out, and then have to go back to our hotel and lock the doors at night.
How did you find out about this? I mean, how did you get into that?
My sister wanted to do a missions trip while we were there. She's like, if we're going to Asia, we have to do some missions work. And the whole reason behind the trip was I'd just gone through some big things in life, and I was like, no, this trip's for me. Like, I can't go help people. Like, I need help right now. So we just kind of had put it off the books, and then it was about a month before we left, and just had this like overwhelming feeling of we need to help. So I called her up. I was like, okay, we need to do a missions trip. Like, we need to find something. And she's like, what's the change of heart? And I was like, we just need to. So got in contact with this family. They had been missionaries in Thailand for over a decade, I think it was at the time. And they had known these two ladies that run the safe house and had heard that like we were looking to do some work over there, and so we just got connected and got connected with the safe house and set it up. And
wow,
yeah, it was an incredible experience.
Amazing. I wonder if it was similar for you as it was for me. I never worked in a safe house, but in 2012 I was in a really rough spot financially, and the company I was working at said we're all going to the gospel mission here in Kelowna, and we're going to serve Christmas food.
That's amazing.
To everybody. Maybe it was Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And my mindset at the start was I don't have time, I don't have money, like I've got to figure out how I'm going to feed myself and my kid and so on. But by the time I was finished, I felt so much better about my own situation because the gratitude that you see on the people's faces, and of course I got to eat at the end too, which was great. But I think, a lot of times when we're in a kind of crisis point, and we think, I got to take care of myself. As soon as you take care of someone else, it just totally lightens the burden of what you're going through. Did you find the same?
Yeah. It felt like we went with the intention of helping them, and we did.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, like, I felt like I got more out of it than I ever expected, and even like the whole opportunity and experience, exactly what you're saying, like, it just was something beyond what I expected. It was so humbling, so heartwarming. I'm still in contact and have done some fundraisers and whatnot, try to support them as much as I can, and eventually the goal is to buy some land and build them their own house so that they can actually, they're just renting, and landlord keeps jacking up their rent, and it just becomes unreasonable. So that's one of the plans, is to be able to do that for them.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you love Kelowna, obviously.
It's fabulous.
For a lot of the same reasons you love Golden, because it's so scenic and beautiful.
Yeah.
Tell us some of your favorite spots, outdoor spots.
Well, I live in Glenmore, so we do a lot of hiking, just kind of up Wilden area. We found some really great trails. I mean, I've been hiking up there for almost 5 years now, and we'll still find new trails, which is really exciting. So, love that. I love, Knox is just fantastic. Like, I've done that a few times this week. It's easy, it's safe, like, I can go on my own, like, not have to worry about being in the back, country and wildlife or anything. And
it's easy for you.
Well,
no,
it's challenging.
I was doing it once a week or twice a week for a while, and it did. The first time I was like, "Holy
heart rate
crap!"
up.
Right? But once if you do it on a regular basis, it's not hard.
Yeah.
It's not a super tough hike.
Yeah,
that's awesome. And you're into jiu-jitsu as well. How long have you been doing that?
Well, I trained really hard for a year, and then started business, and of course, different things take priorities. So just kind of starting to get back into training regularly again. Nice. And such a great sport. I grew up playing sports, but jiu-jitsu is just far beyond anything I've done. It's so amazing. It's so challenging in ways that, like, you can't even explain unless you do it.
Right.
And it's addicting.
Really?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I always tell people, if you've got an addictive personality, find something that's healthy. Right?
True.
To be addicted to. So, tell me a little bit about jiu-jitsu. I know, I think I know the philosophy.
Well, you'll have to come to a class.
Okay, I will come to. Do you teach or
no?
So you tell me where you go and I'll show up. But I think the basic philosophy is you're going to use your opponent's energy to your benefit. Redirect your opponent's energy. So instead of like just strictly overpowering your opponent, you're going to ascertain the energy of your opponent and redirect it. Is that basically?
Yeah, so it's not a striking sport, so it's grappling. So you start with somewhat like of a judo in a sense. You start standing in a competition. You can do throws, but really the majority of it is on the ground. So there's no kicking or punching.
Right.
It's like joint manipulations and chokes, which most people are like, what? That's awful. But it's you tap out, or if you don't, if your ego gets in the way, then you're asleep basically.
Right.
But you want to conserve energy. You're totally right, because there's a lot of, like, you're holding their gi or there's no gi. I do
What's
gi though. Like a karate, like the heavy material, the big jacket, the belt, and your full get up. So you've got your pants, your gi. Usually you wear a rash guard because you don't want some like sweaty person with their chest hair right up to your face, and it's not pretty for anyone. And then you have your belt. So you use all of those things for grips to move people. And your goal, it is timed, so there's points for different things. You sweep somebody, which means you gain a better position, basically. Ultimately, you want to tap somebody out. So either, something like an arm lock, where it's joint manipulation, or a choke of some sort.
Right.
So.
Very cool. Do you have a colored belt, or?
Yeah,
what?
So it starts with white, blue, purple, brown, black. And I'm at my blue right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you have any plans to get your black belt?
Oh my. It'd be incredible. It'd be years and years and years down the road.
Yeah.
I'd need to get back to training like I was the first year, and it would be attainable.
Right.
Yeah.
So What's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Cotton candy.
Cotton candy, really?
I think it would be cotton candy or some sort of a cheesecake. Cotton candy is like my nostalgic one. Like that takes me back to being a kid.
Yeah.
But then like a cherry cheesecake or blueberry cheesecake is
nice.
A close contender.
Have you ever tried Rocky Road?
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to find.
A good one is hard to find.
Yeah. I know some of the ice cream shops downtown have it, but try to find it at the grocery store, I can't.
Yeah. No. So total shout out to Parlor Ice Cream.
Okay.
Have you been
Where
there?
is that? No, I haven't.
It's basically right below Earl's. And it is
okay. I think they switched names.
Best ice cream.
Is it, has it been there for a while? So I know there was Mulek's and then...
Yeah, so it's around the
Okay.
corner. So basically right across from the Dolphins.
Yes, or the Sales.
Or the Sales, sorry.
Yeah.
The Sales, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have been there. That's amazing.
All local ingredients, and they use like nuts from Gladly Nut Farm and liquors from Okanagan Spirits, and it's all made in-house. I could eat there daily if it wasn't
Right.
something that would be bad for my health.
Right. Well, everything in moderation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So tell us why it is important for someone who is self-employed or kind of semi-self-employed like us realtors. We work for a big company, but we're kind of on our own. It's all commission-based.
Yeah.
Only a small handful of people in this company get a salary.
Yeah.
Most of us, the vast majority of us, are commission-based.
Yeah.
So why is it important to have supplemental insurance? Most people, especially younger people, I think, believe that the government covers everything.
Yeah. And there is some government plans. Just in my experience is finding the key word I kind of use is having a usable disability policy. Because and as in any insurance, you want to make sure that when you need it, you're actually going to get paid. Because we've all probably had stories of some insurance or another that people call it the loopholes. So it feels like you're jumping through all these hoops to actually get your payout. And being self-employed entrepreneurs, they are the hardest working people out there.
For sure.
They're invested in themselves, their business, they rely on themselves. So, until somebody gets to a point where maybe they've got a big residual income, or maybe they grow a team and they don't necessarily actually have to show up to work to get that paycheck, most people are in the grind. So if something happens to you, you get sick or injured, that there's no company, there's no, anything that's just going to be like, oh yeah, we're going to make sure your mortgage is paid, or your rent and your car payment and your cell phone and your groceries and your kids' sports, and I mean the list is huge. So having a supplemental policy goes with you. It's yours. It's not attached to any job or anything. So that's one of the benefits. Yeah. And just being properly protected, being prepared. It's kind of just part of being responsible in a sense, and just you never know what's going to happen. And often, the cliche thing, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Exactly.
And I could sit here and tell you stories for hours of both of those. So
yeah, it's so true. And we don't like to think, if we're healthy, we don't like to think about getting sick or getting old or any of those things. Yeah. But what you say is so true, and it's also true what you said about how hard we work. Yeah. Someone said to me, I think it was my dad, and he said, being in business for yourself is great because you get to decide which 18 hours a day you're going to work.
It's so true.
Right,
it's so true.
So how do people get in touch with you if they want to find out about your products?
Yeah, text, email, or we have a really great website that we've been building, sterlingbenefits.ca.
Okay.
And then, and just often coffee. Love having coffees and just kind of educating people, getting to know them as well, because it's a very needs-based job that I do. Now, you don't drink coffee, but you love coffee shops. Yes, coffee shops.
You'll have tea.
Most people drink coffee, but I'll have a tea.
Right, good stuff. Okay, and who would you like to nominate to to come on the show in the future?
Oh, how many names can I give?
You can give as many as you want, but we'll probably pick 2 or 3 max. So,
I'm gonna say one of my good friends, Lindsay Kuzi.
okay.
She is
How do you spell?
Lindsay.
Yeah.
Kuzi, Kusy.
Okay. What does Lindsay do?
She has an amazing day spa. She pampers women especially, but
What's the name of the spa?
Diva Den Day Spa.
Diva Den.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll edit most of this, but the reason is because Kara will track her down.
Yeah.
And just like
She's
she did with you,
fabulous.
so. Okay.
And I would have nominated Heather McCall, but you just did her.
Right.
Because she's one of my favorites. Oh my.
One is fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you think of someone else,
Sure.
you can text me. Well,
She's
great.
fabulous. She's been in business for a long time, but she's started up her business in Kelowna recently within the year. So
Beautiful.
yeah.
Great. Well, Danielle, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Love to have you on the show again in the future.
Thanks.
And love to have a coffee/tea with you
Yes,
sometime and
that'd be
talk
great.
about some of your stuff because I need it.
Yeah.
So thanks again.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.